Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be answering some of the questions that I asked you guys to ask me over on my Instagram. I posted a picture yesterday asking for you guys to leave some questions in the comments, as well as I posted a community post here on my channel. So between those two outlets, I got a good amount of questions. Some questions I got asked repeatedly, like the same kind of question asked multiple ways. But nonetheless, I have a list of about 10 questions I'm going to answer with regards to my pregnancy and babies and my life now and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, head on down there and subscribe. I appreciate that always. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first question I got asked is, what is it like carrying twins? Now, since I never was pregnant with one baby, I can't really compare my twin pregnancy to a singleton pregnancy, so I don't know how different this is than normal pregnancies, like what I'm about to say, but just being pregnant is the weirdest and coolest thing ever. It's so amazing what your body does and goes through during a pregnancy that, I don't know, this is an experience that I'm never gonna forget. I tell Harris all the time that it is so amazing to me that I have two little babies inside me. Not just one. I have two little babies inside me that are gonna turn into two people with two personalities, and like, it's just crazy. I would think that like the only big difference between one pregnancy and two is that there's a lot more movement in my pregnancy. Like, I have two little babies swimming and moving around inside me, so I could assume that that's probably a big difference. Whereas if I was pregnant with one, I probably would feel less movement. But other than that, I just think the concept of having a little being inside of you and you nourishing them and them growing, it's just such a crazy concept that it's really hard to put into words, and it's probably really hard for you to get a sense of what I'm saying or what I'm feeling if you've never been pregnant yourself. So it's a crazy concept. It's so amazing. It's so beautiful. I'm so lucky to be a mom of twins and pregnant with twins. I think that this is an even crazier experience than just having one, and I'm really happy that I'm going through it. I don't know, I feel like this is something I'm never going to forget. So the next question I have, which I've been asked this question multiple times in kind of a whole bunch of different ways, so I'm just gonna like read out what the question says and then kind of dive into it in one lump answer, if that makes sense. So I was asked, do you think you'll be induced early? Do you think you'll make it to 36 weeks? Do you think you'll go into spontaneous labor? Or do you plan on having a C-section or natural/vaginal birth? So I feel like all these questions were kind of asking the same thing, so that's kind of why I lumped them all together, and I'm going to kind of answer them all together. So first, do you think I'll be induced early / do you think I will make it to 36 weeks? So right now, I am 27 weeks pregnant, and if you guys saw my last video, you would know that I had a little hiccup, but other than that, this pregnancy has been relatively easy for me, and I've been relatively healthy, and so have the boys. So I don't think that I'm going to go early, like very early. I think that there's a good possibility I will make it to 36 weeks and possibly after 36 weeks, but it's really hard to say. As of now, as of my next doctor's appointment, I will be going to the doctors every 2 weeks, and then as of 32 weeks, I think it is, I'll be going every single week. So I will be getting monitored quite frequently around 32 weeks and after. When I start going every single week, they'll be measuring their growth, the amount of fluid that is like in the amniotic sac, like all that kind of stuff is going to be getting measured. And from there, that's kind of how they tell if I need to be induced or if they need to get taken out early or anything like that. But I think because I've had a relatively easy pregnancy so far, I don't see myself going much earlier than 36 weeks. I think at the very least, I will make it to 36 weeks. And then, do you think you go into spontaneous labor? Do you want a C-section or vaginal birth? So like I said, I think that my pregnancy has been relatively easy and healthy, and so if I could make it to 36 weeks and beyond, I think there's a possibility that I would go into labor on my own, probably around 38 weeks, just because at that point there probably won't be a lot of room in me, and my body will probably be like, okay, it's time, like, let's get these boys out. So I think that there is a possibility that I could go into spontaneous labor, but I do kind of want to play it on the safe side with delivering the boys. Now, when I go to these appointments that are going to be weekly, my doctor will kind of be able to give me like a case-by-case basis, like, okay, you look good, the boys are in this position, this one's head down, this one's not, and we can kind of formulate like a game plan based on what he's seeing. I personally feel like if the boys are not in the perfect position for me to go ahead with having a vaginal birth, that the safest route is to have a C-section. And if you would have asked me this if I was only pregnant with one, I would say no way, I want to do vaginal. And of course I do want to do vaginal, I do want to experience that, so hopefully in future pregnancies, if I can in this pregnancy. But at the end of the day, I want whatever is going to be safest for not only myself but for the boys, whatever is going to get them out safely and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to be happy with and comply with. So if my doctor feels like a C-section is what's necessary, then a C-section it is. I'm not going to fight it. I just want the boys to come out in the safest way possible. So in a perfect scenario, I would want the boys to be lined up perfectly to have a vaginal delivery. But if that's not the case and that doesn't wind up happening, I'm not going to be upset with it. I just want them to be delivered in a safe way, and I want everything to go well for me as well as for the boys. So I hope that answers all those questions. So the next question I have here is, do you want more kids after the boys? And I've also been asked, what if you get pregnant with twins again? So Harris and I definitely want more kids. I think if you asked me this question, I'd be more inclined to say we want more kids. But when we've had conversations in the past about how many kids we want and how big we want our family, we've always said at minimum 3. So I know in the future there will be more kids. But with that being said, since we are having twins our first time around and it is going to be a huge adjustment for both of us, we've decided that we do want to wait a longer amount of time in between having the kids. Originally, when we kind of talked about this, we talked about having one baby, 2 years later have another baby, 2 years later have another baby. But like I said, since we're having 2 right off the bat, we probably will wait a little bit longer in between. And my whole thing is if we wait 4-ish years, more or less, then if it is only one baby, I feel like that baby is going to be kind of left out. Like, the twins will always have each other, and I feel like this baby then is going to kind of be like an only child in a way. So in that case, I would want to try for a 4th to kind of have a companion for that kid. But if we were to get pregnant with twins again, we would stop right then and there and not risk it. Now, of course, if we got pregnant with 1 and we went for a 4th, there is a chance we could get pregnant with twins again. But because this isn't genetic, like, my whole case is we don't really know where these twins came from. Twins don't run in either of our families, so it's not like I have this genetic predisposition to be having twins. It kind of was just a random thing where my doctor thinks I'm really fertile and I dropped 2 eggs. So because there's no genetic component, I don't know if the likelihood of us having twins is very high in the future. So I don't know, I guess that's just a risk we'd be willing or have to discuss taking in the future if we do get pregnant with 1 and we try for a 4th. What's going to happen if it turns into a 5th? But I've always said if I was to get pregnant with twins again, I don't think it would be as much of a shock as this pregnancy, because it's going to be all I ever know. Like, I would only ever know a twin pregnancy. I would only ever know raising twins. So if I was to get pregnant with twins again, I don't see it being difficult or shock or anything like that. I think the bigger shock would come if I only got pregnant with 1, because that's a whole new thing for me. Moms of twins who then have a single child after say it's a world of a difference, and so I think that would be the bigger change or difference, would be having 1 than having twins. So yes, we want more kids. We don't know specifically how many. It all kind of depends, but it's not going to be for some time, and if it's twins, we'll probably be 100% okay with it and super excited, because I'm super excited for these twins now. So my next question is, do you think your belly will grow a lot? And I've also got asked a lot of questions about like weight gain expectations and weight gain and all that kind of stuff. So do I think my belly is going to grow a lot? Yes. My belly right now, last time I went to the doctor, they measured me as if I was having 1, and I'm measuring about 8 months pregnant with 1. So if I was only pregnant with 1, the size of my belly right now would be about 8 months. But of course, I'm measuring on track for twins. So I can only predict that if I'm at the 8-month mark now and I'm only around 6 months pregnant with the twins, that I'm going to get exponentially huge. I just know that towards the end of your pregnancy, the babies start to gain weight more quickly, and so I just know my belly is going to kind of get pushed to its limits and kind of grow really quickly towards the end and probably get really big. I feel like I'm huge now, but my doctor says I'm actually not that big for twins. I'm big if I was having one, but I'm not that big for twins. So I just know my belly is definitely going to get a lot bigger than this. And then as for like weight gain expectations, this question was asked in a previous video and I did answer it in the comment section, but I just felt like addressing it here because I have been asked this in the past, and I've actually gotten asked this in person a few times. So as for weight gain expectations, so far I've gained around 30 pounds, which is normal. Like, it's like the expected weight gain with one, but since I have two, the expected weight gain is around 50 pounds. So since I'm more than halfway done with my pregnancy and I've gained 30 pounds so far, I know I probably won't hit that 50-pound mark. I'll probably be in between 40 and 50 pounds. And since I'm not really eating a lot, like, I don't eat with the mindset of like, I have 2 babies in me, I need to eat twice as much. I just eat when I'm hungry and I eat till I'm full. I know whatever weight I'm gaining is what my body is naturally needing to gain and naturally holding on to. So I don't see myself being well over 50 pounds. I kind of don't even see myself hitting the 50-pound mark. Like I said, I feel like I'll probably be between 40 and 50 pounds, which is completely healthy and completely normal for a twins pregnancy. So I'm okay with that. I've kind of come to terms that whatever happens to my body and whatever changes that happen and whatever weight I gain, it's natural. It's what needs to be done to help grow and nourish these boys, and I will get my body back on track after. I feel like if you kind of set these expectations for yourself, then if they're not met, you can get really disappointed. And I've kind of talked about this before, where I feel like I had or still have a slight bit of body dysmorphia. I talked about this in like my freshman weight gain video. So, you know, that is of course something that I'm probably gonna have to deal with after I have the twins, kind of being not down about my body, but just like having to adjust to a different body. I know my body's probably never going to go back to exactly what it was before, but I think this pregnancy has kind of helped me look at my body differently and know that this is what I'm made for and this is what a woman's body is kind of supposed to do. And so I'm just trusting my body. I'm trusting the weight I gain. I'm trusting my postpartum experiences, which, you know, I do want to document my whole postpartum body journey. So if you guys are interested in that, please let me know. I really want to film that just for my sake, as well as for kind of informing you guys, because as someone who's pregnant with twins, I look up all the time postpartum body transformations and I feel like I can never really find any. So I do kind of want to document that, but like I said, I'm not setting any expectations. It's not like I'm saying by 6 months postpartum I want to be this and I want to look like this. I'm kind of just trusting my body through this, and whatever I gain and whatever changes happen, I'm just going to go with the flow. So the next question I have is, do people treat you differently now that you're visibly pregnant? And yes and no, both good and bad. So I still feel like you can't really tell that I'm pregnant when I'm wearing really baggy clothes. So some days I don't get treated like I'm pregnant at all. And it's kind of weird to say treated like I'm pregnant, because I don't think you should really be treated differently. But I do think that there are some expectations, which Stony Brook sucks. Quick story. I was on the bus once and I was wearing a tight shirt, so visibly pregnant, and you would think that someone would get up and give them my seat. But no, I had to stand the entire bus ride back to the commuter lot, which it's like a 5-minute ride and it's not that bad. But if you go to Stony Brook, you would know that commuter bus drivers drive absolutely insane, and it was very hard to hold on, and I had to stand there with my backpack. And yeah, so you would think that like in that aspect people would be willing to give up their seat or like help me or whatever, which in some cases people do, and those are probably like the good people in the world. But in some cases people don't, which kind of was a shock to me, because I know I would kind of give my seat up for a pregnant woman, but whatever. So in that aspect, yes, sometimes I'm treated differently. Like, people will give up their seat for me, people will carry things for me, like setting things up for my internship, people like help me and carry things for me. I get asked a lot if like do you want me to carry your bag, or like, do you need help with that? Which sometimes can get annoying because I feel like people think that I'm incapable of doing things just because I'm pregnant, which sometimes I am incapable of like lifting something, or it's not safe for me to be lifting something. So I appreciate people asking, but sometimes it's like, no, I got it, I'm fine. So in that kind of area, I've been treated differently. But in terms of like friendships and like seeing people and like getting treated differently in that way, no one's really been treating me differently in a bad way. Of course, every time I see people, a big topic of conversation is the boys and is my pregnancy. So I'm treated differently in like how and what people talk about with me. But it's not like my friends. I have not been like disowned by any friends or treated badly, or, you know, people don't want to hang out with me anymore. It's not like that. It's just like friendships have changed and people have treated me differently just because I'm a different person now. I obviously don't go out with my friends to the bars and I don't drink. And so when I see frat boys that I used to be friends with, it is a little awkward. I think sometimes people don't know what to say or how to kind of make conversation about things other than partying, which is kind of sad. But sometimes when I see people, it's like people don't know what to say to me, or people act uncomfortable around me as if this should be like an uncomfortable thing. I don't even know if I'm making sense. I feel like I'm rambling. So yes, I'm treated differently sometimes. Sometimes I wish people would treat me differently and treat me like I'm pregnant and kind of help me, if that makes sense. And friendships haven't really changed all that much. It's just, I feel like some people don't know how to respond or don't know what to talk about. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that answers that question. My foot is asleep. I feel like this always happens. All right, 3 more questions and my foot is really asleep. So if I'm sitting weird or I'm at a weird angle, it's because I'm trying to wake my foot up. But the next question is, when will you go back and finish school, and who will watch the boys when you do? So after this semester, I need 14 credits left to graduate. Originally it was 11, but I wound up dropping one of my classes this semester just because it was kind of redundant and busy work, and I don't know, I just didn't want to take it this semester. So after this semester, I will need 14 credits to graduate. And so that's probably about like 5 classes, because if each class is 3 credits, I will have to probably wind up taking 15 credits to meet the 14 credits. So my plan is to take some courses over the summer, some online courses. So in that case, the boys will not need a babysitter. They will be home with me and I will be taking them online. So I'll do my work when they're sleeping or when Harris is home and can help me with them. So there won't be like an adjustment there, but then I will finish up in the fall. So I plan on taking about 2 classes over the summer, maybe one summer session 1 and one summer session 2, or both summer session 2, I don't really know. And then I'll go back for 3 final classes in the fall, which if I can get them to be online, that would be optimal, because then the boys, like I said, won't need a babysitter. But if I do have to go on campus for these classes, I do want to try and get them all in the same day. So I'm only on campus for like 2 days a week and only for a small amount of time. As for who's going to watch the boys, it's kind of still up in the air. I do have my grandma very close. I have friends who work in daycares and are more than capable of babysitting the boys for me. I have Harris's family, who is obviously very close. I'm living here right now, but they're very close to our new house, and I'm sure they'd be willing to help. But if it is the case that the boys need to be put into a daycare, Stony Brook has a daycare on campus, which I would be more than willing to leave the boys there, just because I know so many people who work there. Like a lot of my sorority sisters work at this daycare, so I would feel comfortable leaving them there. But we can also go the route of getting a nanny or an at-home babysitter. So there are definitely a lot of options that Harris and I will definitely need to explore once I make the decision to go back. But I'm definitely going back. I do not want to go any longer than the fall. So summer, fall, I will be finished and I'll graduate in December. So this question, I know I answered in my initial pregnancy announcement video, but the same person has been commenting this question on some of my videos, and so I feel like maybe people just don't want to go back and look for that video or watch that video. So I'm going to just kind of address this here and now, and that is, what do my parents think about my pregnancy? So what do my parents think about my pregnancy? So obviously this was a surprise pregnancy. I've said that 100 times. This was not planned. It was a complete and utter surprise, but it was a welcome surprise, if that makes sense. So when I originally told my parents that I was pregnant, obviously they were going to support me in any which way that I felt. They felt like if I did not want to continue on with the pregnancy, they would support me in that decision. If I wanted to continue on with the pregnancy, which I obviously did, they would then support me in that. So once they knew my wishes with this pregnancy, they backed me 100%, and they've been more than great. They are so obsessed with the boys. They love them so much already. They've been very helpful. They obviously held my baby shower for me. So my parents have been behind me 110% on the decision to continue with the pregnancy. Of course, it was a shock when we did find out it was twins, but like I said, I wanted them. So it's not like my family was ever going to say like, no. I'm 21 years old and can make a decision myself, and I don't think my parents would ever have kind of disowned me or abandoned me or not backed me on my decision. That's just kind of the relationship that we have with each other. So thankfully my parents have been so supportive. I know sometimes that is not the case for some people, especially when pregnancies are unplanned or when you are on the younger side. So I do have to be grateful that my parents were very supportive, and they've continued to be supportive, and they are over the moon and so excited to be a Yaya and a Mimi, because that is what they want to be called. So that answers that question. And my final question that I have is, what is my biggest craving? So I've said in the beginning, I used to crave really salty things. Like, one of my first cravings I ever had when I found out I was pregnant was McDonald's hash browns, and I also really wanted potato and cheese pierogies. But into my second trimester, I didn't really have like a specific craving of something that I needed to get now and like eat every day. But recently I've been obsessed with crybabies, like the gum. If you guys know what I'm talking about, they're like little balls of gum covered in like sour sugar. Harris's mom got him a whole bunch of candy for his birthday. His birthday was this past weekend, and so she got him a whole bunch of candy for his birthday, and one of those things being a huge bag of crybabies. And I literally was like, oh my god, I've not had a crybaby since, I don't even know. I feel like you just don't see those anymore. And so I opened the bag and I started eating them, and I've been obsessed with them. The blue ones are my favorite. I feel like the blue ones and the green ones are the most sour. Last night I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have one, and I had like 4. So I definitely am probably giving myself some cavities eating them. They're definitely not good for your teeth, but the sour is like a new craving of mine, and it has been so delicious. All right guys, so that is it for all the questions that I have for you guys. Let me just make sure I answered them all. Yeah, so that's all the questions that you guys have asked. I will film another Q&A in the future, possibly before my pregnancy is over, if you guys have more questions for me. But if you ever have any questions, you can always comment them down below, DM me on Instagram, anything like that, and I will be more than happy to answer them for you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A and kind of hearing the answers to these questions. And if you did, like I said, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And with that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.